Hi everyone, Matt Watson here from Carwow. So this is the Bollinger EV truck. Yes, an electric SUV. There's also a pickup over there as well. And here's the Carwow top 10 things you need to know about them. Let me tell you about where these trucks have come from. So this chap called Robert Bollinger, he used to work in advertising, sold his company, then bought a farm, and he was working on his farm, but he couldn't find a pickup truck that really suited him. So he decided to build his very own, and this is what he created. Actually, back in the day, he used to be an industrial designer, so he helped design this car, but obviously he's worked with various engineers to get it developed and working and ready for sale in 2021 with a starting price of around $125,000. There are actually two versions of the Bollinger available. There's this B1, which is an SUV, then there's the B2, which is a pickup truck. Now you might be thinking, the design of this thing looks rather familiar. Sort of Land Rover Defender-y. Now I asked the creator about this and he kind of said, well, it sort of does, but it wasn't a case of copying it. What they wanted to do was build an SUV that was very simple, easy to maintain, and basically had very simplistic body panels so that they're easy to replace or refit. And when you get slab-sided body panels and you put it into an SUV shape, you automatically end up with something that looks like a Land Rover Defender, because basically that's what a Land Rover Defender is, slab body panels in an SUV shape. That's why they're almost identical. Obviously, being an electric truck, there is nothing under the bonnet except for useful luggage space. The battery is actually mounted underneath the chassis, and then you have two electric motors, one at the front and one at the back, and combined they produce 600 horsepower and 900 newton meters of torque, so it should be fairly rapid. In fact, 0 to 60 takes 4.5 seconds, while top speed is limited to 100 miles an hour, though it could go quicker if they allowed it. The battery pack on this truck is 120 kilowatt hours. Also, to charge it from a 100 kilowatt charger, it'll take about an hour to get it to 80% full. When it goes into production, you will be able to charge it at a 150 kilowatt charger as well. The Bollinger has a fairly traditional off-roader setup, so you have a ladder frame chassis, and on top of that is the body. So it's a bit like a skateboard with the body on top, really. Though underneath the ladder frame chassis are the batteries, and the ladder frame chassis itself is made out of aluminium, as are all the body panels, which are removable. In total, though, this thing weighs 2.7 tons. Now you can blame the batteries for that because they are rather heavy. Unlike most hardcore off-roaders, this thing uses independent suspension all round rather than rigid axle, but it's not too much of a problem because they have gear reduction hubs, which means that the drive shafts don't actually go into the wheels, and that means they're able to lift the vehicle up more on its suspension. So the ground clearance on this thing is 15 inches, which is pretty high. Also, it's got some other cool features as well, such as inboard disc brakes, and that allows them to have the gear reduction hubs inside the wheel. Also, this thing uses hydro pneumatic suspension like old Citroens, because then they can alter the ride height as they want. It improves comfort as well, and yet again it really allows them to jack it up or lower it. In fact, you can alter the ride height on this thing by 5 inches, so 5 inches lower than standard or 5 inches higher than standard, which is quite a lot. Also, if you look underneath it, you'll see that the suspension arms are completely flat. Once again, that's great for off-roading, and it's completely protected the underside as well, so you don't damage any of the important mechanical parts. Oh, and I forgot, of course, it's got a low range mode as the normal drive mode, and these chunky tyres for some superior off-road grip. The Bollinger is also super simple here on the inside. Just check out the dash. It's just flat panels of black metal. Check the quality. Yes, it's hard, but it feels nicely screwed together. Look at the doors, it's like they've been built out of Meccano. No electric windows here. You slide them, though the mechanism is nicely made. You're probably wondering, where the heck's the sat-nav and the infotainment system? Well, there isn't one. Bollinger doesn't want to have any obsolescence in the vehicle, because in 5 years' time, some old sat-nav would just look out of date, wouldn't it? You're going to use your mobile phone to get around anyway, so they don't have it in the car, so in 10, 20 years' time, it's still fine to use. In fact, it looks like a classic car here on the inside. If you look at the simple dials, the old-fashioned gear selector there, and these knurled switches for things like the four-wheel drive system and the air conditioning. Yes, it does have air conditioning, thank God, and heated seats. I like how they've done the air vents actually. Look, you just rotate them either at the windscreen or towards you, depending on whether you need cooling or the windscreen needs defrosting. Check out the roof as well. We've got glass panels. They're removable, so you can have it without the glass on if you wanted, or you can swap them out for solid black panels so you don't have the light coming in. It's your choice. Then check out this storage area here, which looks a bit more like furniture. That's real wood. And then this box on top is just a metal box. Look. Simple, but it works. At least you've got some sport seats. They're quite nice and comfy, and a sporty steering wheel, though no airbag. Part of the reason for that is that this is classed as a truck in the States. It doesn't have to meet the same safety standards as normal passenger vehicles. But there you go. One thing that's very interesting is that it's easy for Bollinger to turn this into a right-hand drive vehicle. All they have to do is flip the steering rack upside down and then move the steering column and this pod across to the other side. As you can see, this section could just bolt out and be swapped over with that, no problem at all. And that shows their intent to bring this thing to the UK. The Bollinger is a strict four-seater, but the rear seats are the same as the front seats pretty much, so you can recline them, and they are very comfy. Knee room is a little bit on the tight side, but foot space is good. There's this big hump running the length of the vehicle, which you have to have because it has all the electronic gubbins in there, so all like your inverters, your pumps and stuff like that. Not the batteries there underneath, but that's the reason you have this hump. Once again, you've got some storage here, but you can remove this if you don't want it and you want to just carry long items through the truck's body. I like this though, the full length interior strip light. It's a really neat, cool idea. Let's talk about load lugging capabilities. So it's the same for this pickup as the SUV. You've got a payload capability of 1.2 tons, so you could carry something quite large here in this load bed. When it comes to towing, these things can tow over 3 tons. I just want to show you this as well, look. I like the fact that the pickup has a lift-up rear window. That's nice. Now, one of the cool features about the Bollinger is that it has this unique through loading. It's a bit like I'm being born again. Have a look at that. You can see all the way through the truck. You've got 13 foot of load space there, so you can carry things like huge planks of wood for construction inside the actual vehicle rather than it having to hang out the back. The B2 pickup is 3 foot longer than the B1 SUV. It has a slightly longer wheelbase as well, so that rear wheel is supporting the load bed. And the amount you can carry in this in terms of length is 16 foot. That's nice. Now, which do you prefer the look of? Me personally, I like this, the pickup. Super cool. But click on the pop-out banner up there to cast your vote. Would you go for the SUV or the pickup? Let's do it. Can we get you? That's it. Just go on the side. There we go.